Israel would not want to wage a big war and appear to the world naked, clearly as an aggressor. No, that's not deception. Israel has to wage her big war and make it appear as though she was only defending herself.
A deadly battle has taken place off the coast of Gaza as Israeli forces stormed at least one ship attempting to break the blockade of Gaza.
You have to come with a good strategy. The strategy is this.
Commanders lower themselves from the helicopters and onto the Mavi Marmara. That's the lead ship in a flotilla of 6 vessels which are carrying aid for the Palestinian territory. We can confirm that at least 2 people have been killed and more than 30 have been injured. Israeli radio is reporting the death toll may be as high as 16 people.
More and more atrocities that drive them to a greater and greater rage. This is planning. This is strategy. This is not happening by accident.
Well, our reporter on board the ship sent this report before communications were cut.
As Israel unleashes this barbaric oppression upon the Palestinian people, you must have a television station which you plant amongst them. We should cover this, that your Egyptian television would not cover, and your Jordanian government would not allow on Jordanian television, so you create something called Al Jazeera.
The organizers on board the Mavi Marmara, after 2 people have been confirmed killed by the Israeli army, have now asked all the passengers to go inside. They've raised the white flag. This after Israeli commandos descended upon the ship in international water from a helicopter, as well as surrounded it by vessels from all sides. Tens of people, civilians, have been injured. There are still sounds of live fire despite the white flag being raised. Tens of people have been injured. 2 people have been killed.
And so around the Arab world, the masses only have to tune into Al Jazeera and they know what's happening. And so the Arab masses become more and more angry.
Where huge crowds, thousands have gathered in the Tunisian capital, and this comes a day after the president again took to the airwaves for a 3rd time since these protests began.
This is also another one of Cairo's hotels. On the street, what you're seeing right now, I'm going to show you, I have a camera pan out to the 6th of October bridge. There you are seeing people gathered, and you can see at least some kind of fire that has been set ablaze on what seems to be a vehicle, a troop vehicle that carries troops. I can see flames on top of that vehicle, and protesters have surrounded. And those cars that you're seeing are personnel carriers. They ferry the soldiers back and forth.
In which, like the domino effect, governments around the world of Islam, they will claim, are now going to fall. And the world of Islam is rising up now. And one-eyed Muslims, of course, are going to believe it. The world of Islam is now going to rise up, and all these governments are going to be swept away.
It's as if something has been unleashed. Egypt hasn't seen protests like these in years. But after the example of Tunisia, suddenly they've lost their fear.
And authentic governments representing the Muslim masses will now emerge. And therefore the Jews are going to have their throats cut. This is going to be the most dangerous moment in the entire life of the world of Jews. The media will portray it. If we don't do something, we will all be slaughtered by these Muslim fanatics. I tell you, this will be drama worthy of Hollywood when it comes. They must be hating me now for revealing their secret. have abandoned the Sunnah. We have abandoned Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, and we're paying the price for it. The international financial system around the world today is in the control of Jewish bankers and Jewish financiers. If they want to, they can bring the US dollar down today. They can do it. Because Washington has printed too much paper. And there are far more US dollars outside of the United States than there are in the United States. It's entirely fraudulent. If I were to do it, they'd put me in jail. And so two things will have to happen. The financial system will have to collapse, and after that, the Jews will control the finances of the world. And number two, there'll have to be this spectacular display of military power. But when that military attack takes place, Israel will have to be able to argue, we were provoked. We were only trying to defend ourselves. So in order to do this, you have to begin the process with Ariel Sharon going into Masjid al-Aqsa with 1,000 Israeli soldiers in a deliberate act of provocation. He knows what the Palestinians are going to do when he does this. A deliberate act of provocation intended to bring that intifada back to life. And when it comes to life and the killing starts, Israel will have to talk peace on this side, but continue doing pinpoint killings. Every time they kill, every time they assassinate, it is intended to further inflame the passions of the Palestinian people, bring that state of rage. And as the oppression continues to increase, there is going to be an awakening amongst the Arab masses. Egyptian people are going to be very angry. Jordanian people are going to be very angry. So what is the king of Jordan going to do? What is Mubarak going to do? What is the Saudi government going to do? In order to survive, when your people are becoming more and more angry, you're going to have to start making some powerful statements. You see? Like Abdullah just did last week from Saudi Arabia. And Mubarak will now have to speak very hostile against Israel. And perhaps one day even King Abdullah of Jordan will have to start to do the same thing. So as these statements now come out, and maybe you have an Arab Summit conference and so, and the impression is created that the Arabs are closing in now on Israel, the stage is set. You've done your PR work perfectly. And now Israel can launch that spectacular military attack. The Israeli people are calling on the government, come on, what are you waiting on? Let's wage war. In the Israeli cabinet they're calling for it. And the government is giving the impression to the world that we are restraining ourselves. We are restraining ourselves. How long will it be before that takes place? I don't think long. That spectacular military display is coming soon. It is my impression that when that happens, it will be the most appropriate time to bring down the international monetary system, which is already fraudulent and already vulnerable. And therefore, that will be the time when Dajjal will move from a day which is a month to a day which is like a week. Israel now emerges as the ruling power in the world. The impression is created that this is the return of the Golden Age. It is only at that time that Dajjal will now appear in a day which is like our day. I assume that he will be the ruler of Israel. And so from Jerusalem he rules the world. And so he's accomplished his mission. And the golden age has come back. But Banu Israel will not be able to recognize that they were deceived. It is after this that Imam al-Mahdi emerges. I have this lecture maybe tomorrow.